I've always thought of myself as an artist. I'm, you know, basically a small town guy from South Dakota, where I grew up. But I've lived in California for the last, 30 more than that, maybe since '76. I've been in California, so I've been away from South Dakota for a long time. But I guess that you could say that's where my roots were artistically, as well as where I grew up, because that's where I went to art school, was in South Dakota. And by the way, when the years when I was at the University of South Dakota, my freshman year there was kind of like a footnote to art history now. Not because of me personally, but the University of South Dakota initiated kind of experimental, like revolutionary art school that year. It only lasted 1 year because this is a conservative state, and they basically couldn't handle it. But they had, and so they kind of told them to leave, But there were some famous people there, There some instructors. There was a guy named John Toriano, who's now famous in the New York art scene. Clayton Bailey, who's in the Bay Area. In fact, on Clayton Bailey's website, he talks about that 1 year that he taught in South Dakota. Yeah.
And you guys were in the
and I've also seen. One time saw an article about it in one of the art magazines. I forget which one, if it was Art News or Art in America or what it was, but there was a discussion about that 1 year at the University of South Dakota. So anyway, I was lucky enough to have experienced that 1 year, and of course then I went on for more years there and graduated. But
wow.
Far back as I can remember, I say I was probably 4 or 5, but maybe before then, at least since I was 5 years old, I wanted to be an artist. That's all I focused on. And I guess since that age, that's what I thought of myself as, was, an artist. So all through grade school and high school and college, it's, of course, growing up, you have these kind of stereotypical, unrealistic views of what an artist is, mostly from movies, So even as a kid, I pictured myself living in a garret in Paris,
With one of those
yeah, with a little beret and stuff, yeah.
Wow.
I was probably in junior high, I would say, when I decided that was going to be my career path, yeah.
Wow, junior high school.
Yeah.
And
but like I said, I went to a school that had no art classes, so I kind of had to teach myself. Yes.
So what was the daily routine in the early days in terms of teaching?
Well, of course, the teenagers don't have a lot of self-discipline, So I did take an art correspondence course. That was the only access I had to any art instruction. So I did take an art correspondence course, and it was even difficult to finish that because it's self-discipline. There's no teacher there standing over your shoulder, So I had, but that was good. I had to learn a little bit of self-discipline, working on it. Well, growing up where I grew up is a very conservative state anyway. So, and plus, as I mentioned one time, probably my only access to art.
All the cars and
yeah, all my access to art was through looking in encyclopedias and stuff like that. So generally, though, I think as I don't, actually thinking back, I was going to say that at first I was only interested in realistic art, but that's not true. Because I did start already trying to do abstract art when I was younger, except that I didn't understand it. And that's, to me, I think that's one reason why there aren't more artists doing abstract art, is because even among the artists I know, I only know a handful that I think really truly understand abstract art. And you really have to kind of work at understanding it and getting a grasp of it. And for me, myself, like I said, I started trying to do abstract art even when I was in high school. But my aha moment came probably when I was about I think it was like in my junior year in college. And I'd been doing even a little bit of abstract art in college, mostly representational, but some abstract art. And there was one point where just like a light bulb flipped on over my head, and all of a sudden I got it. Not just my own work, but seeing other abstract artists, and really fell in love with it, You know what it is, really, I think, to really understand abstract art is you have to free your mind from thinking in a representational way. And that's probably the problem most artists have. If you look at most people looking at abstract or non-objective art, you'll see them looking like, oh, that might be like a cloud up there. They're trying so hard to find some connection with the real world. But abstract or non-objective art, for the most part, is, well, I should say non-objective art is free of the world. But abstract art is based on the real world. It just distorts it and stuff like that. Well, partly maybe it's mood, I love both kinds of, I love all art, it's a continuum like a rainbow, I'm not just going to say I like only blue or I like red, I like very realistic art, and I like totally non-objective art, and everything in between, as long as it is what I consider good quality. Of course everybody's taste is individual, but so, and I don't want to limit myself either. I like doing all that whole range of work too. There's some stuff I probably would never do just because it doesn't personally interest me. But I like, there's a side of me that really likes doing representational stuff, realistic paintings. And then there's a side that I like doing abstract or non-objective work. And for me, and I think I mentioned this to you before, to me the abstract and non-objective work is more intellectual. It's for me, I'm creating my own problem in my mind, an artistic problem, and then you have to try to solve it. You've made your own problem, now you got to try to solve it and work it out, make it look right. I would say I paint primarily for myself, but I always have of the viewer in mind too, but I want to finish it to please myself primarily. But I do hope that other, I haven't forgotten other people. I do hope other people are going to like it, But I don't let other people influence me too much. People that get to know me real well, like if you talk to my wife or something, almost a sure way to get me to leave a painting unfinished or just forget about it is for somebody to start telling me what to do in it. Right? Because, then at some point, if they do that too much, I'll just say, okay, it's not mine anymore. You go finish it, So I have very definite, strong opinions of what I want to do, and which is one, I did work for a while as a graphic artist, for a television station, and that job was really difficult for me for that reason. Here I was supposed to be the expert. They hired me to be the artist, and then you've got accountants and stuff telling you what they think the artwork should look like, and it's like, oh, come on, I don't go in and tell you how I think the book should work, So that kind of stuff was really difficult for me personally.